It's now my great honor to introduce our distinguished keynote speaker for today's commencement ceremony, Kenneth I. Chenault. Ken is a renowned business executive, widely celebrated for his transformative leadership as chairman and CEO of American Express from 2001 to 2018. He joined the company in 1981 as Director of Strategic Planning and rose through a series of increasingly senior roles, including Vice Chairman, President, Chief Operating Officer, before being named CEO. Under his leadership, American Express not only built one of the world's largest customer loyalty programs, but also earned global recognition as a standard bearer in customer service. Ken currently serves as Chairman and Managing Director of General Catalyst, a leading venture capital firm focused on responsible innovation. A graduate of Harvard Law School, Ken has served on numerous corporate and nonprofit boards, including Berkshire Hathaway, Airbnb, Meta, and the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of African American History and Culture. In 2021, Time magazine celebrated Ken in their 100 Most Influential People list for his corporate and social activism, specifically for mobilizing hundreds of corporate leaders to advocate for equitable voting rights in the U.S. and for founding 110, a coalition of leading organizations committed to upskilling, hiring, and promoting people without four-year degrees into family-sustaining jobs. Ken has consistently championed equity and belonging in corporate America and beyond, and his leadership continues to inspire generations of business leaders who strive to lead with purpose, courage, and conscience. He and his wonderful wife, Catherine, who generously served on the ECFS Board of Trustees from 2002 to 2011, live in New York City and have two sons, Ken Jr., Fieldston class of 2008, and Kevin, Fieldston class of 2010. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our keynote speaker, Ken Chenault.
Thank you, Kyle, for that generous introduction. To the educators and staff here today, thank you for your dedication to these amazing young people. To the parents and families who have nurtured and sustained, who have worried and celebrated, this day belongs to you almost as much as to the graduates. And to the Fieldston class of 2025, congratulations. Looking at you today, I'm reminded of my own graduation, though the calendar insists it was more than 5 decades ago. When I graduated high school in 1969, the nation was in flux, as it is again today. We had the Civil Rights Movement, the Vietnam War protests, the assassinations of Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy. You've had a global pandemic, sharp political divisions, technological revolution, with AI being the most transformational technology since the internet. During such times of uncertainty and change, we search for direction. But we don't graduate from high school with our life's compass fully calibrated. We adjust it as we go, correcting course through experiences both planned and unexpected. My own course needed significant correction. When I was a sophomore in high school, I brought home yet another report card that made my parents unhappy. It was a mixed bag of 2 A's, 3 C's, and a well-earned D in Latin. My teachers emphasized to my parents that while I had the potential to excel in school, I was an undisciplined and frustrating student. I winced at those words because they captured exactly who I was. I cared deeply about some subjects and barely showed up for others. I could discuss Ellison's Invisible Man and Tolkien's Fellowship of the Ring trilogy with passion, while my Latin homework remained untouched. If you had suggested to me when I graduated from high school that one day I would become CEO of a Fortune 100 company, I would have laughed. Business was not on my radar. I wanted to join the civil rights movement, perhaps work in politics. I was drawn to the moral issues of my time and the struggle for racial and social justice. Corporate strategy, finance, big business, they belong to someone else's future, not mine. What I couldn't see then was how my scattered interests and undisciplined approach were limiting my potential. My head of school, Peter Curran, became increasingly concerned about my uneven academic performance and summoned me to his office. "Ken," he said sternly, "I think you're very intelligent, and I believe you have some real potential." Then he lowered the boom and said to me the words that would echo throughout my life. "Potential gets wasted on most people. You need to decide whether you're going to start to realize your potential." I must admit, that conversation didn't change me overnight, but it forced me to grapple with the question I ask all of you to consider today. What will you do with what you've been given? Often, it's the simple moments that provide an answer to that question. Two such moments have stayed with me. The first occurred right here at Fieldston during your once famous Fieldston Relays, a tradition that gathered private schools from across the New York area for a track and field competition. I came with my team from the Waldorf School in Garden City, Long Island, a small school where our entire high school numbered just over 100 students. I was the first leg of our relay team. Just before the race, as tension mounted, a Fieldston runner approached me. While a competitor from another school had been taunting us, this young man simply extended his hand and said, "Good luck." That small gesture, a moment of grace when competition might have demanded less, stayed with me. It wasn't grand. It required no special talent, just a recognition that winning and excellence need not come at the expense of dignity, neither your own nor that of others. Now, by the way, the Fieldston Relays had a happy ending that year, at least for me. Our team won. The second illuminating moment took place the summer after my high school graduation, when I worked as an assistant cook at a camp in New Hampshire. My boss was a remarkable woman from the South who told me I had to be in the kitchen at 5:30 every morning. Most mornings, I peeled potatoes and plucked blueberries, one by one, as she reminded me every day, if you don't do this, the meal doesn't get served. What seemed like tedious work became a lesson in responsibility and service. The little things matter. What you do, however modest the task, affects others. Excellence is a habit expressed in everyday actions. These experiences began forming my understanding of leadership. Not leadership as position or power, but leadership as responsibility and service. Many years later, when my wife Kathy and I were choosing a school for our sons, we visited a range of schools. When Kathy returned from Fieldston, something distinct had captured her attention. Of all the schools, she said, when I looked in the classroom, the children seemed happy. That observation proved decisive. We wanted our sons to love learning, to develop confidence, and to find joy in service to others. And we sensed that Fieldston shared these values. What connects these moments? A headmaster's challenge, a competitor's sportsmanship, a cook's insistence on responsibility, and my wife's perception of joy in these very halls. They are compass points that have guided me through uncertainty. I've come to believe that all meaningful contribution, all true leadership, requires both inner direction and outward awareness. Know what matters to you and care what matters to others. My favorite definition of leadership comes from Napoleon. I always add that I don't wish to share his fate, but his insight was profound. The role of a leader is to define reality and give hope. To me, that is the most simple and best definition of leadership. I think about this quote every day. It has become my leadership mantra, and it has guided me through crises in business and in life. So here's what I've also learned that might surprise you. The world's most pressing challenges don't need people obsessed with leadership as a goal. They need people committed to service as a way of life. I believe that if you want to lead, you have to be willing to serve. And that's something too many people in positions of power today have forgotten. True leadership isn't granted by title or acquired through ambition. It's earned through service that places others' needs above your own. The world awaiting you is indeed uncertain. The questions facing your generation are profound, but uncertainty is not the enemy. Character is what determines if you will be successful. Successful in the right way by helping people. As you leave Fieldston, I hope you'll carry with you both the confidence to follow your inner compass and the humility to extend your hand to others. Whether you go to college, take a gap year, or play a professional sport, I hope you'll find a place where you explore ideas and develop a core set of values and beliefs that bring you alive. May you discover purpose in service, and may you learn to lead in life, not because you seek leadership as a position, but because your character and your commitments naturally inspire others to join you in creating a more just and joyful world. Congratulations, class of 2025. Thank you.